And I'm quite determined. I'm known as the determined lass. So if you set a goal, I want to achieve it.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment Weekly's ongoing coverage of the Toronto International Film Festival. I'm Joey Nolfi, one of the writers here at EW, and today we're speaking with an Oscar-nominated actress who, from her performances opposite a massive ape, a ghost coming out of your TV screen, and a sweet little magpie, has built up an impressive track record of unorthodox scene partners throughout her career, including the film we're talking about today, Lakewood. Please welcome Naomi Watts. Hi, Naomi. How are you?
Hi, Joey. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am great now that I'm speaking with you, and I cannot wait to talk to you about Lakewood. It is such a thrilling film. You are so fabulous in it. It thrives so largely on your performance as you're by yourself through most of it. It's shot during the pandemic, but it found, I think, a really unique and clever way around that because the movie is mostly just you running through the woods. So tell me about your preparation for that. How much physical training did you do beforehand, and how much running did you do while filming?
Yeah, a lot on both sides. Basically, I do have a running background. I used to do it a lot. Started probably I started at school. I did track. And then ran in my 20s, wherever I was. If I was shooting in weird parts of the world, I would always go for a run. But I hadn't been doing that for several years because I have a recurring back issue, and any impact is not great for me.
Yeah.
But this movie came along, and just a few weeks before, when it's finally up and running, pardon the pun, I thought, well, I better get back to this some hardcore training. And I wasn't exactly sure that Phil was planning on shooting it, because no matter how many discussions you have, you'd never quite know until you're there on the day. Luckily, I did that training and got myself prepared, and it's amazing, the memory of a muscle, how quickly it can bounce back. Got there, and we learned very quickly that the way to shoot it was incredibly long shots that went on for 12 and 15 pages, which meant sometimes running really fast, sometimes falling and then getting up and running again, sometimes just a steady run. And so, yeah, it required, and multiple takes, don't forget.
Yeah.
I would say I ran the woman who was out there on the set helping me, she was a physical therapist. She's a marathon runner herself, and she said that I did at least a couple, the equivalent of at least a couple marathons.
Oh my gosh. That is, yeah. So many hats off to you. That is such a feat. And I imagine that some of that rage and frustration and emotion that the character feels in the film was real. Am I correct in assuming that for you?
You are absolutely 100% spot on. And that's why I didn't want to stop, despite, everyone saying, are you okay? Are you okay? And, you might have a grip fall over who's holding a light or a board or something, or, and I could have stopped, but I wanted to keep going. So he'd stop and fall into the bush, and I'd keep going. And as long as nothing was in the background, we could. And it just all added to the exasperation and the physical exhaustion. And, out of that comes stress and some kind of beautiful accident. And that was sort of adding to the chaos of it all.
So a lot of bumps and bruises after this film, I would assume?
Major bruises, major bumps, major pulled muscles.
Oh God.
But it was good to know that the body still works, at least for a chunk of time. I've certainly not kept up my running since then. You can prepare well for almost anything, I suppose. And I'm quite determined. I'm known as the determined lass. So if you set a goal, I want to achieve it.
And it really did pay off. The film is, you can feel that energy running throughout the whole film. It's a relatively quick film, but it is so quick paced, and the energy is just amazing throughout it. And I was saying a little bit before, there was a point to what I was saying. You are the queen of unorthodox scene partners. You had, like I said, the giant ape in King Kong, the magpie that did its business on your head, and then Penguin Bloom. I will never forget that story. And now you're acting almost entirely against an iPhone in this film. So, how do you
Mhm.
prepare to act opposite, an inanimate object throughout most of the
Yeah.
film? Is that a strange
Well,
dynamic?
it is, and it would have been a whole lot stranger if there was nobody at the end of the line. We did have, it was a working phone, and we had two actors
Hmm.
who were playing all the parts, one male, one female. If I hadn't have had them, it would have been just a bananas way to shoot, because we would have had to pre-record just to hear the lines, and then that would have dictated my rhythm and performance, and um, it needed to be very nuanced, and they could totally feel my energy, where I was getting exhausted, where they might need to take care of me,
Hmm.
where they need to be stronger and force it along, and so I would say my performance, it wasn't entirely solo at all. It was definitely reliant upon those two people, and they did a marvelous job.
So they were voice actors that were hired
Yeah,
for this,
yeah,
specifically voice
yeah.
actors.
And
Hmm.
things would go wrong. Sometimes we ran for such long stretches that we would lose signal, and we were in a forest, of course. So sometimes I had to improvise, or sometimes we went four more pages farther than we said we were going to go, because it seemed to be working and we had enough road. And I didn't quite know those lines, so they would help me along there. So
Hmm.
it was definitely they were in the room with me, so to speak.
You had like a little cheat sheet in your ear, like feeding you lines.
Yes, yes. Well, I knew the scenes, but like I just didn't expect to shoot that long, and so yeah, they would help
Mm.
me along, which was great. Which is how actors work together,
Right,
always
right.
support each other. It's very much a relay, a team of acting and reacting.
Hmm. So, what was Philip's direction like in those scenes? Was he giving you, is there like a specific type of nuance or cue that he has to give somebody who is like, you do have the actor in your ear, but it is largely just you on the set? Is there a difference in the way that he was directing you in those scenes versus what you're used to?
I think of Philip as like a gentle giant. He is strong and knows what he wants, and he'll just keep going until he's got it. He's got incredible energy,
Hmm.
and he wants. I mean, he's done some of the greatest thrillers of all time, and he wants to. He sets the bar high, and but he was very attuned to what I was going through, and there were times where I was like, I can't do it again, Philip, please, please. It's like, are you sure? Like he was, and he was tapping into my psyche, because he knew I wanted to do it again if he felt he had a pure vision in his mind, and that he believed I could achieve it. And I hated that I was going to let him down, or
Hmm.
myself down even. So I just kept going. And, I think there were one or two moments where I felt like I was just truly broken.
Hmm.
And he was like, okay, all right, we don't worry, we're going to take a break,
Yeah.
but for the most part, he was pushing me and pushing me and encouraging me. And I felt in safe hands, because he's, like I said, a gentle giant. He'll push you to the
Hmm.
edge, but softly over the line, and get
Hmm.
you to a place where you both feel good about it.
Hmm. And I think it was probably extra important to feel safe given the the weight of the material. It is a very thrilling film, but there is a message here. I mean, its plot
Yeah.
revolves around a school shooting at a time when that is such a real and prominent issue in the US. So how do you think the film finds a unique way into commenting on that issue, and why was it so appealing to you to get the message of this movie out both as a star and a producer, because you produced this film too, correct?
Yes, I did. I felt this story was meaningful and compelling, and one that reaches us all the time, when we wake up and we read the newspapers and we see yet another horrific story play out, and we live with that dread. It's haunting, and the ripple effect that is created after that day that something so horrific takes place. It can really upset the community from then on. And it sends fear. I mean, our kids do drills all the time. Our kids are going to schools and their parents are looking at them a little extra too long as they walk through those gates. Is this the day? Or, it's just things like that, that we shouldn't have to be feeling or fearing. That was what drew me into this story. And I'm not trying to use this as a soapbox to stand up and say this is how things should be. It's not prescriptive, but it is hopefully something that can get into the hearts and minds of everyone, and hopefully open a conversation that is important and needs addressing constantly, and hopefully alters people's thinking.
Yeah, it is a very unique way into telling this story. So I commend you for doing that. It is a wonderful film. And I want to make sure, I just want to ask one more question. I'm obsessed with your career. I'm always have my eye on what's coming next for you. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you what we can expect from The Watcher. I am so excited about this. How have you been preparing for that role? And will the series scare the hell out of us like that article scared the hell out of me?
Yeah, that article is so freaky. That's what got me in. And of course, Ryan Murphy. And then I'm only just now getting into prep. But we're going to start shooting very soon. It's exciting. I can't say much more. I love Bobby Cannavale. I've worked with him before. Thrilled to be working with Ryan. He seems to have the Midas touch. Everything is great. And it's a genre that I love. So
Did you visit the actual house?
Not yet. No, I know.
Well, you tackled everything in this film. I think you'll be fine when you go to visit that actual house. I think you can handle anything after running through the woods for 85 minutes in this film. Naomi, thank you so much for always being so lovely and for always giving us such incredible performances like you do in Lakewood. I can't wait to see The Watcher. Fingers crossed for that. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Joey. Have a great day.
You too.